Crypto kids, we got the CPI data. CPI data, unfortunately, 2.9%, but Bitcoin is holding fine at $14,000. So that's the good side of it. 2.9%, 20 basis points higher than the prior two sets of data. The probabilities of a 50 basis point cut have come down again. We were really anticipating that maybe inflation, just like the producer prices, cools off so we can get a higher probability of a 50 basis point cut, and that would ignite altcoin season sooner, but sadly that's not the situation. Inflation 2.9%. How does that impact the interest rate decision? How does that impact the macroeconomy? I want to cover in this video, but most importantly, we want to cover Bitcoin, what I think will happen to Bitcoin. I found quite a decent bit of a discovery, and I want to share that discovery with you. So stick around until the end if those topics sound relevant and interesting. Guys, if you can do me a favor and destroy the like button, that would also be very much appreciated. If you're looking for a place to be trading Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, I've been trading for the past 8 months on weeks. I've been opening positions since 77,000 on Bitcoin, since 1.5, 1.6 thousand on Ethereum. It's been a great experience, and if you're looking for a place to trade and you want to support the channel, you can use the link in the description down below for weeks and enjoy up to a $30,000 worth in bonus. Great. Let's cover Bitcoin, and then I'll get into the inflation and how that changes things. So looking at the 4-hourly time frame, first of all, the discovery is on the daily time frame. 4-hourly time frame, inverse head and shoulder, we're above that critical line of resistance of 13.4 that I mentioned. And in yesterday's video, I said that if Bitcoin on the 4-hourly can maintain itself above the 13.4 consistently, I'm going to add more to my longs on weeks. But when I woke up this morning, I left a voice note on the CryptoKids Telegram. I said, look, if the inflation comes out higher than expected or at the 2.9%, things could get a bit tricky. So I'm going to hold off from doing that just because, CPI over the past 3 times led to an average of an 8% decrease on Bitcoin. I don't want to risk that. And I thought it was a bit of an unnecessary thing since we opened positions all the way down at 77, already have a very good entry and at a position of power where we don't have to chase those bullish entry setups. So for now, I'm refraining on adding anything new to my Bitcoin positions, and I'm just simply monitoring how this 13.4K level is going to hold. If we can hold it fine, then the CME gap at 16.8 becomes the likely target. And if we can break above the CME gap, then I would be searching for the value area high that's at 19.5, but there's still some time for that. Let's see if the volume profile loads. Yeah, the value area high is going to be at 19.4, 19.5. That would be if we break above the CME gap. That's at the 16.7, 16.8 territory. So I'm just focusing on this 13.4 level, how that holds. If we can hold it, then the CME gap is going to be the target. If I see a good bullish continuation there, then I will consider adding longs to my Bitcoin, already long positions. But for that, you'll have to keep updated with the CryptoKid videos. So make sure that you're subscribed and you have the notification bell on. All right, that's the short-term time frame. When we go to the daily time frame, this is where I made an interesting discovery. If we put on the EMA ribbons, you're going to notice that the EMA ribbons have crossed bullish for the first time since April this year. And before then, it was September of last year that we crossed bullish. Okay? Right? So the interesting discovery is, first of all, this price action is so similar. Double top, price goes down, you have your falling wedge, but it takes some time for that falling wedge to break to the upside. So you end up consolidating. EMA ribbons cross bullish, and then boom, Bitcoin goes up. Look, double top, falling wedge. Takes time for you to break out. So you just end up consolidating. EMA ribbons cross bullish, potentially extension, right? So that's number one, and I really like that. I really do like that. It plays with the bullish, it plays with the CME gap theory, it plays with the value area high theory. I like that, and I like being long on Bitcoin at this moment in time, okay? That is the interesting discovery. To make things even a bit more interesting, September last year, we saw Bitcoin have that bullish crossover. You were nearing the end of your consolidation period. September marks the low bull bear market support band retest. You go over the EMA ribbons, and then you go and catapult to the upside going into October, which is Pumptober. So overall, that set of comparison is leading to higher price levels for Bitcoin. And if 13.4 can hold, then I think we have a very good bullish outlook for Bitcoin, setting us up for one final rally in this cycle. before we begin potentially the Bitcoin bear market. So I like having my long positions open. I'm happy by being in Bitcoin, and we'll monitor the situation and see if this can play out. So I'm long. I'm happy about Bitcoin. That is the analysis that I wanted to share with you. Before we go into altcoins briefly, what does the inflation data mean? Higher inflation data is horrible because the mandate is 2%. They want 2%. So the Fed originally wanted a 2% inflation before reducing interest rates and introducing quantitative easing, which would mean that the balance sheet of the Fed that contributes to 80 to 90% of global liquidity, that would increase again and start pumping altcoins. They want 2% inflation, and we're 90 basis points away from 2% inflation. That's not good. And if they cut rates due to political pressure, due to whatever pressure, that's going to cause inflation in the long term to go absolutely out of control and lead to a huge recession, in my opinion, in 2026. But at least in the short term, it will give some gunpowder on Bitcoin. We're going to find out if Powell wants to introduce quantitative easing or NQT in the next FOMC meeting in 6 days' time. That will give a bit more of an insight into altcoin season, if we can see altcoin season or not. But for now, I think short term looks good, but going to 2026, I think we can hit some pretty bad roadblocks if inflation goes out of control and see a pretty large recession, as the farmer Samuel back in the 1800s predicted with his harvest crop cycle chart. It makes sense. But yeah, guys, that's my overall analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, destroy the likes for me. If you could, that would be awesome. And I'll see you all on the next update video very soon on this channel, guys. Take care. And as always, bye-bye.